Hello, my name is John Bullock. Welcome to this podcast from The Light Review. And today we are learning about a company that's relatively new to the UK, but very well established in its home base in Australia, and that is Clevertronics. And I have with me Craig Stead, who's the country general manager. Hello, Craig. And Steve Saville, who's a technical and project support manager, but also, according to his CV, on the LIA Technical Committee for Emergency Lighting. And Steve, can we just start, before we get into the business of the business, just explain to everybody what it is that LIA and ICEL are up to and how that works?
Okay, I'm a member of the ICEL Technical Committee, the Industry Committee for Emergency Lighting, and they are a division of the LIA. So essentially they work together, and the whole purpose is to try and improve the industry, ensuring that we have the best possible products in terms of quality, in terms of reliability and safety, looking to improve and educate people in the industry as well, and hopefully guiding the standards in the right direction, that people understand them correctly, people know exactly what's required, and we can deliver the best service and product possible to the industry.
Okay, and there's outreach there, isn't there? Because the LIA run a training system on emergency lighting.
Absolutely. So there's a number of LIA courses that are available, and I believe there's 2 currently available for emergency lighting. Should people want to go on to those courses to learn and understand more about the requirements, the applications, even product safety and things like that as well, and product compliance. So there's a whole host of courses available. If you visit the LIA website, you'll see that there's a resource section for that.
Great. And let me say, having reached this stage in my career, I think it's time I got some training on emergency lighting. Okay. So at least I can have a piece of paper that says, this man seems to know what he's talking about, even though it sounds as if he doesn't. So maybe this year will be the time I get that.
It's always worthwhile, because standards are always changing, they're always being updated, and there's always new things that you have to consider that you might not be aware of. So it's always worth keeping yourself up to date, if you like, with the latest standards, and those courses certainly help to do that.
Thank you.
I mean, the amount of misinformation out in the market is scary. You know, some of the stuff that comes back from customers that we talk to about what they believe is right and proper, it could be sometimes as far away from the truth as possible. You know, so
we seem to have slipped into the age of misinformation, don't we?
Yeah. Fake news.
It's not just emergency lighting. This is the world at large.
Yeah. Okay,
Craig. So explain to us how it came to be that Clevertronics, as I say, very big in their home market in Australia, and Australia is a very big market, chose to come to the UK, and how are you getting on?
Okay, so the products themselves and the technical legislation in the UK and Australia are not too dissimilar. So it was quite an easy decision to come to the UK. In terms of the products, they're very similar also. There has to be modifications made to suit our market slightly, but it's not a great leap. So from that perspective, and the size of the market, and the fact that we have in the UK world-renowned specifiers with global reach, that played a big part in the decision to come to the UK. I mean, look, you know, what you notice about Clevertronics more than anything else when you meet everybody that works there is the passion for life safety, right? And that's from the managing director, the owner of the company, Tony, through to Mike Downey, who's my boss, through to me, through to everybody that works within the organisation. Everybody kind of lives and breathes it and believes in it, and from day to day are really passionate about saving lives through lighting, emergency lighting. We have something like 23, 24 engineers that are looking at innovative solutions to try and enable that to happen more effectively. the whole process within the organisation in trying to remove pinch points to make it seamless, so that we can go to the market with a solution that makes it easy. It is something else that is really important to the organisation, and it's a company. It's the first company that I've worked for, and I've worked for a few in the industry. It's the first company that has. It's like a family, and everybody wants you to do well, and everybody phones you and supports you and sends you emails saying, good luck, and and it's really refreshing.
Good to hear. I mean, that is actually, in these dark January days, because that's when we're recording this, folks. It's in a dark January day. It's good to hear good news stories like that. For Steve, from your point of view, looking at it from the technical side, and me and you, we've all talked about the problem of emergency lighting when it comes to specification, is that who takes it seriously and who basically draws the short straw and has to get the emergency lighting scheme out before the end of the day. From your point of view, how do we square the grudge purchase side of things along with, as you say, the passion and the importance and the vital nature of what this business is?
Yeah, it's a very good question, because you're absolutely right. It has been looked upon as a grudge purchase for many, many years, possibly as long as the industry's existed. It's more of a fact that people say, well, we need emergency lighting, so we must buy it, rather than think, shall we get the best emergency lighting solution for this application, for this client? So we get something that gives us the best possible cost of ownership. So it's very difficult. So it's really only through education. I think people are becoming more aware of the requirements for emergency lighting through the regulatory reform order of 2005, through education, through courses like the LIA, etc. And hopefully through the webinars people have seen over the last year, because of the the current sort of climate we're in. There's been lots of webinars and educational pieces. But I am becoming more aware of people speaking to me now, saying, actually, I understand what my requirement is now. I need somebody to help me to achieve X, Y, and Z. Can you give advice? So I think ultimately it's through just education, ensuring people understand what their responsibilities are, what they're liable for, and what they need to do to make sure they're compliant. And going back to Craig's point, in Clevertronics, people are so passionate about life safety. We try and make things as easy as possible. So a lot of our systems and products have different tiers and different products that fit different applications. But they're ultimately there to try and make sure that people can achieve what they need as simple as possible, with the lowest possible cost and lowest sort of commitment from a resource point of view from an end user, so that they can remain compliant without all the extra effort and burden of trying to achieve that. And we work with people, should I say, hand in hand to help them achieve that. And like Craig says, the passion comes through the company, through us, and then hopefully out to the client base as well, so they become passionate about emergency lighting and wanting to achieve the right thing.
Okay. Now, the webinars you mentioned, and oh, by the way, everyone, if you want to watch those webinars, we've got some of them in the manufacturer's library under the Clevertronics section on the Light Review. Well worth the watch. And one of the things that comes out from watching those is how clearly we are not talking about buy this emergency light fitting, don't buy that one, buy this sign, buy this. This is about system. This is about systems design, isn't it? This seems to me to be the biggest single change that's coming through all of this, is that when you talk emergency lighting, you talk about system, you talk about structure, you talk about infrastructure for an entire building. And I think that is new. And if there's one thing, hopefully, that can get us out of the okay, this one cost me 40 quid, have you got one for 30? Or this one cost me 30 quid, have you got one for 20?
Yeah.
That seems to be the biggest change. So how from someone like yourself, Steve, who's got a solid technical base, this idea of shifting towards a systems approach, Is that a very different thing to you, or is it something that's always been part and parcel of the way that you've seen it?
It's always been part and parcel of the way you've tried to apply yourself through emergency lighting, because it's always been a difficult conversation with the end user or with the client. But of course, there's always different challenges while you're trying to do that. So whilst there's innovation in technology, it helps you to solve particular issues for end users. So it makes our life easier. So if you're at the cutting edge of innovation, you find out what the problems are, the pinch points of the customers, and you solve those problems for them. It makes the conversation so much easier, and saying, oh yeah, we used to have a problem with X, Y, and Z, but now this allows us to smooth that curve, or it allows us to reduce that burden, or reduce or mitigate that risk to try and help you achieve compliance. So for me, it's always been about a system sell, but not always to the end user or a contractor, because like you say, you take product A and product B, they look very, very similar on a desk, and one's £5 cheaper and you need 10 of them, and you think, right, okay, I'll go for the one that's £5 cheaper. And what they don't realize is what technology is in that product, what components are in that product, what battery, and how are you going to test it? And then how are you going to get access to that fitting then to maintain it, repair it, to ensure that the building is compliant and remains compliant over a period of time? Because that's what's required, not just a compliant product on a desk. So again, it's that education piece, and it is a difficult conversation, but hopefully systems and technology help to convert people. So we found it recently being quite an easy conversation, because we've been offering our clients who are really looking at projects and saying, I want to understand this better. How can I do that? Help us achieve that. So we've been doing comparable system or projects, not quite quotes, but putting systems together, doing designs for people, comparing to what they have or what they could potentially purchase, and have a look at the costs associated with the install, the product, but then also the cost to maintain that over a period of time. What repairs are required? How do you achieve your minimum requirements for testing under the standards? How do you do that? What resource do you use? Is there a quicker and better way, a low cost way of doing that? And I'm trying to look at the whole life cycle of that product, from looking at the project inception all the way through to end of life, and helping customers understand how they can achieve their goals. I think it's becoming a slightly easier conversation, and it's great working for a company that's willing to put the time and effort in there just to say to people, just have a look at what you could do, how you can achieve that, and how things can be easier, and not too worried about, can you buy this product for £5 more or £5 less?
Craig,
Yes.
Strategically then, I mean, we know that in the UK that there are at each end of the spectrum, we've got the specification market, which is what Steve has just been talking about. But we've also got the smash and grab area of the spectrum, which is exactly that, if you've got a cheaper one. How's the strategy working? I know that if I talk to contractors, I find out that when I complain to a contractor about a piece of rubbish lighting design that they might have been responsible for, they say, it wasn't me, it was the wholesaler. Yeah. I went into the wholesaler and said, look, I've got this kitchen to light, or whatever it might be, and this is what they said. Okay, so can we get to these people? Can we get to, I don't know, can we get to the EDA and say, you guys need to step up to the plate to get this life safety design properly in place? Are those conversations happening?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think what we're finding is that once our system is viewed and looked at, the capital expenditure on product alone is not the whole conversation, because yes, they bought it, yes, it's expensive, right? And we've managed to persuade them that their client would benefit, so they upsell and they buy this kit. But what they then quickly realize is how much cheaper it is to install. How much, so you've got, it's wireless, so there's less cabling. There's, we've increased the spacing because we've got superior LEDs and performance. So there's all these other things. Are we at that end of the market where we're competing on price with products that are coming in from China? No, we're not, and I don't think we'll ever be there. We are talking to people that respect quality and are looking at this thing over the whole life and understand where we're going in terms of life safety, and wanting to do our part and try and raise the bar.
And I think a few contractors that have been involved in those projects who previously did buy the lowest cost product from a wholesaler, they've actually seen opportunities from using these systems, these products, because they always come back and say, that's a fantastic product, really easy to install, because a lot of effort's gone into the design to make everything as simple as possible, even for the installer. And then what they found is they've got an opportunity now for them to differentiate themselves from the competition. So then when they're looking for a project, they can offer something different, something that can give their end user something different. And it helps them stand out from the crowd. So these contractors that we're managing to convert, they're seeing the benefit and reaping the benefits, and they're starting to sort of promote our products as well to their client base. So they are some people do understand it, they do get it, and they're starting to actually, like I say, reap the rewards of these type of systems and these type of products.
Great. Now, we said we'd put about a 15-minute time limit on these little sessions. The next one, we're going to talk about systems, aren't we? We're going to talk about systems design and actually what that means.
Yes.
So anyone who's going, tell me more about the systems. Well, you're going to have to wait for the next one. But before we go, Craig, I'm going to ask you this one thing, which I hope I'm not going to put you on the spot here, but
sure you are, John.
Oh, really? Yes. Okay. An Australian company comes into the UK at a time when the UK is still part of the EU. Mm-hmm. The UK is no longer part of the EU. There was this thing that Brexit that sneaked in while nobody was looking.
Yes.
Has that made a difference? Is that going to make a difference, do you think?
Initially, I would say no. We're in a position where we're used to doing everything that our European partners, our European friends within the market are now having to do. So we've got it off pat, and it's slick, and we know exactly what we're doing. The European market for us to export into Europe, it is probably a long way off. We are capable and in a position to do that right now. But what I would say is that there's so many different legislations throughout countries, and the markets are very different. The fact that there are signature consultants and specifiers, architects here in the UK that work all over Europe, and particularly the Middle East. I think the Middle East is probably a market that we've already started to look at. So rather than Brexit affecting us in the short term, it's not really had an impact.
Okay. Steve, just to finish off on this one, the CE mark is not something that we are now obliged to use, and we've got a new UK badge. That's the UKA what is it?
Yeah, that's correct. So it depends what markets you're working. So a lot of manufacturers are actually using both of the markings if they're supplying products to both the UK market and Europe. So people will be doing that, I think, initially, and then seeing how Brexit takes shape and seeing how legislation or future legislation might impact products, and know that there's a huge appetite to align absolutely everything from an emergency lighting point of view. So hopefully there'll be no deviation. There's always small deviations in various regions across the globe, but in essence, I think they're looking to align things moving forward. So hopefully it won't have great effect in the emergency lighting industry, but I think people will be looking to see how that takes shape. And if they want to just focus in the UK or have some UK specific products in the future, if there are differences in the future, then they can just use the UK mark rather than the CE mark. But at this moment in time, I think people are marking products for both, or products which are being shipped to both the UK and into Europe.
I think we like the idea of alignment, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes life so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, hey guys, Craig, thank you very much for your time. Steve, again, as always, thanks for your time. We will be back talking about systems in a few weeks' time. So hold your breath. No, don't hold your breath. That would be very unhealthy. Thanks all, and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.